wrote the Imposter Syndrome because I wanted to speak to everyone who's been in a position at some point in their lives where they wondered whether just being themselves is good enough. And I would suggest to you that that's all of us. From time to time, depending on what's required of us and our own assumptions about whether or not we can meet those expectations, we sometimes doubt our abilities. We sometimes doubt that we're able to meet other people's expectations. And when we have those doubts and those insecurities, we're inclined to put on a mask. We're inclined to put on a mask of perfection. And when we put that mask of perfection on, what we end up doing is stepping away from our own authenticity. So sometimes in the interest of trying to meet other people's expectations, who other people want us to be, what other people want us to be, we move away from the core of who we are. And if we move away from the core of who we are, we're not able to give of ourselves in the way that we otherwise might. And if we're not able to give of ourselves the true essence of who we are, we're not really giving much in that respect. If we compromise who we are just to please other people or meet other people's expectations, it really robs us of a certain energy. It robs us of a certain uniqueness that really enhances the quality of the conversation and the quality of the contribution around the table. I personally believe that we get the most out of people if we allow them to be themselves. And so the imposter syndrome really is a way of normalizing what a lot of us feel when we're asked to step up into a new role. It may be a broader role. It may be a role that requires us to do something that we've never done before. Big expectations. And before you know it, we get really concerned that we're not going to meet those expectations on the part of other people. And we begin to shrink and minimize our input out of fear that somebody's going to discover that we really don't deserve to be in that role. So the antidote to imposter syndrome, that tendency to want to close yourself off and be as guarded and defensive as possible, the antidote to the imposter syndrome is to really get your head around what it means to be an authentic person. Because I would suggest to you that authentic people bring a different energy into the workplace than people who are wearing a mask and trying to be something that they aren't. And if you really, really want to understand at a different level how you can bring a different energy to the workplace, get your head around what it means to be the authentic you. And when people are focused on being their authentic selves, they're less concerned about being perfect people. I've never met a perfect person. I've lived a long life. I've lived in different countries. I've traveled the world, and I'm yet to meet a perfect person. And so a basic premise of authentic leadership is that once you accept that you're never going to be a perfect person, you give yourself latitude and you give yourself room to be imperfect. Being imperfect is a lot easier than being perfect. And being imperfect allows you to concede that there are things that you do know and that you do very well, and there are some things that you don't do well, and maybe you need a little bit of help with, and maybe you need to ask questions about. And it's okay to do that if you take the pressure off of yourselves to live behind the mask of perfection. The imposter syndrome really enables you to understand that what you're experiencing is normal and that there's a cure for it, and that cure is called authenticity.